Hey y'all, welcome to a very casual, unfancy get ready with me. I am putting on my makeup, I'm getting ready to film some other videos, and I decided to just turn the camera on and get ready with you so that we can have more content and more time together. I also have some kind of exciting makeup. Skin Store sent me some makeup, and I think that they're having a sale or something. I feel like it's when they are going to have some kind of sale that they tend to reach out and see if there's anything that I want to try. This time they sent me a list of things that they are, I think, putting on sale, and there was some ILLAMASQUA stuff on the list, and I had never tried ILLAMASQUA. So I was like, yeah, I'll try a couple of those products, a couple cream products, a really interesting eye product, and some lip stuff. And so I'm going to be putting that stuff on today. It's not totally first impressions. I have tried it, but I'll get to demo it for you, talk it over with you. And then the rest of the makeup that I'm going to be putting on is from my Shop My Stash that I did a couple of weeks back. So if you want to kick back, hang out with me while I put on makeup, and if you're interested in ILLAMASQUA, then you're in the right place. If this is your first time to my channel, I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for clicking on the video. I love beautiful things, but I don't love overspending, so I try to keep a balance and stay mindful of the issue that sometimes can run rampant in lovers of beauty, which is the issue of overconsumption. If that sounds good to you, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Let's get into the meat now of this video. You know, I am kind of having some face issues. I realize now. I hadn't really looked at my face today, but it's because I waxed underneath. I'll get ready while I'm telling you. I'm back. I'm back on it, y'all. I'm back on my ish, the VDL Lumi Layer Primer. I had one of these, an unopened one, in my backups box. It's my only primer that I've been keeping as a backup because I was holding it hostage from myself so that I would force myself to get through my other primers. And then Yes Style sent me their advent calendar. That video will probably already have gone up actually by the time you're watching this. It's like a wild unboxing video with a bunch of B-roll footage. It was just a bit of a mess actually to film, but hopefully I got it together and posted it on time. So this primer, which is my all-time favorite, was also in the Yes Style advent calendar. So when I opened it up, I was like, now I have two of my favorite primer. And so why am I forcing myself to use up my other primers when I just have so much of my dream primer floating around? So I gave in, I opened it, and I'm using it. So I'm gonna put that on. But I was about to say, I recently waxed underneath my brows, which is something that I feel like I don't actually do enough. I don't have fine hair, but I have such pale hair that the brow hairs that come in underneath my brows that don't get dyed when I dye my brows, because this isn't the natural color of my brows. I dye my brows just dark brown every couple of weeks so that they'll show up on my face and I can just use soap brows and I don't have to bother filling them in with a pencil. I feel like it saves time and it also looks better on me. There are all these little hairs, little downy hairs that come in underneath the arch of my brow, and it's they're so small and fine that I don't really bother plucking them. You can't really see them, but what they do is that they make it hard for me to blend my eyeshadow up there. And I think that's part of why I tend to get not even part, I think it is entirely why I tend to get such an uneven blend right under my brow bone. And that's why I've developed the technique of going in with a sheer glitter and just obscuring that, because the glitter makes it look like a really nice blend because it's reflecting light in all directions. So once in a while, either way in the past when I've had my hairs waxed underneath my brow, if I've ever had my brows done professionally, they always go in and wax that bit off. Or sometimes I've done it at home like I did this time. Let me show you the thing that I used. It's called No Mo Stash, and they're actually lip waxing strips that I think they were in the Party Favors box from Simbri's Party almost a year ago. I can't get it open because my hands are slimy from the primer, but it's just little wax strips that you peel them open and then you have wax on either side, and you can use one on one side and one on the other. I was going in and cutting them to fit the shape of my brow and sticking them in, and they actually work great. I mean, it's kind of amazing for just such a little thing. No muss, no fuss. They work great. But I got really focused and, really assiduously was trying to get every little hair off, and I ended up pulling up a little bit of skin. So I'll have to strategize to figure out what kind of eyeshadow I can apply that will cover up that, because there's just a tiny bit of scabbing on the upper part of my lid right under my brow on either side. I'm sure it'll go away in a couple of days, but I think it was user error. I've used these before and that's never happened before. I think I just like was so in it that I like went overboard, because I do really think that these things are great. But there's that. I've got a little redness. So now that I've got my primer on, I'm going to go in with the Sephora Bright Future Green Color Corrector. Every time I've tried to link this for the past couple of months, it hasn't shown up. It's like showing up as not being on Sephora's website anymore for me. And I know that some of you are like saying that it shows up for you. So I don't know what that is. Like, did they take it off of the website for some people? Or are they like doing a rolling discontinue of it? Either way, I fear that it is not long for this world. And I'm going to have to find another color corrector, which is sad because this is my all-time favorite one. And the price is so reasonable. Priming my eyes with the Alter Ego Shadow Base. That's what I've been using lately and I really like it. I am going to zoom you in to actually do my eyes, but first I'll tell you what the strategy is going to be. So I have been feeling, so several things are going on. One is I've really been feeling my like neutral eyes lately. Two, I have this product from ILLAMASQUA that I want to apply on camera today. It's one of those sparkly, creamy pot eyeshadows and it's in black. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that for a long time I was really like coveting this type of thing. Like I really wanted the one from Victoria Beckham, the one from Hourglass, like any, actually I don't know if Hourglass makes a black one, but it's like that Marc Jacobs Hourglass thingy. I just wanted like a really shiny black one and I didn't want it to have too much like real sparkle in it. I wanted to just be like shine. And this is kind of it. Like it's amazing. And it's interesting because I had along the way acquired the L'Oreal Infallible Eternal Black eyeshadow. It's in a little pot and it is black and sparkly. And so I was kind of thinking like, why do you keep craving this other thing when you already have it? But now that I actually have one that's like the creamy pot form eyeshadow, I realized that this one from L'Oreal really is a shadow. It's dry. And this one is actually really creamy. So I do want to use this. I want to do kind of like a really smoky blackened look like all over my lids. But I need to blend something in the scabby areas underneath my brows that will obscure their color. So I think I'm going to go into the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, which is one of my Shop My Stash items. And I'm going to take Aster, which is like a purple shadow with a red flip. And I'm going to use that underneath my brows to kind of lay down a base and obscure that scabbing that's there. And then I'll build like a smoky black look on top of that. So I'm not really going to be getting my neutral fix today. It's probably going to be somewhat dramatic and colorful. Okay, you're so zoomed in, it's not even funny. And I'm going to go in with this little Rephr brush. I have been loving this brush from Rephr lately. I never knew what number it was because I think that when they sent this to me, it was a prototype. But I believe that now it's actually in the store as the E13. I think that's what it is. I will definitely make sure to link it because I feel like I've been leaning heavily on it. I have a couple of them and they've just been like in intense rotation for months now and I haven't really properly told you guys about it on camera. It's just like a little blender brush. It's just really tiny. So it's perfect for precision work and it's really good for hooded eyes. So I'm going to go into Aster and place it where I want it and blend it out. Yeah, even though it looks kind of purple in the pan, it is shearing out to basically be the exact color of that like little scabby bit that I had there. So it's completely obscured it. It's totally invisible and it definitely looks like something that one might choose of one's own accord to build an eye look from. Okay, so that's laid down some base pigment, taking care of those spots and given me something to work with. I think I'm going to go ahead and go straight in with the ILLAMASQUA pigment. Let me tell you what it is. So it says it's the Iconic Chromes Pigment Paint. Yeah, look at that shine. See how it's got that real shine? Really like creamy shine. I'm excited about that. So I'm going to put it pretty much all over my lids, but I might allow myself to like fade it out to nothing as I get into the inner corner. I'll probably go in with something brighter just to put it on like the inner quarter of my lids. But it is overall going to be like a really blackened, sooty, smoky look, primarily built of this. So I'm going to work with this with my fingers and a brush, that same brush. And I'm going to keep going back into the Natasha Denona shadow, and I'm going to build the look by blending the two into each other. It's looking very blue. I think it might be the contrast with what's already on my eyes, but I'm not mad at it. I love how this brush is really allowing me to do, it's like little paint by number blending, sort of like really precise blending, very carefully controlled, rather than just going in with like a big fluffy brush and crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. It's like really letting me decide what I want to do and then do it. Well, it's ended up really looking pretty colorful, especially from a distance, pretty like blue to pink sunsetty. I'm going to smudge a bunch of this black creamy shadow on my lower lash line and really blow it out. And then I think I might go in and do something which I literally almost never do, and actually try to make a wing, because they sent me, Skin Store also sent me this little ILLAMASQUA product, which is it says it's a sealing gel. It's a little liquid that you can use to turn any eyeshadow into an eyeliner. I think I might try to make like a soft wing out of this same smoky black cream shadow and use that to just like give the look a little bit of soft structure. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I feel like the lower lash line really helped to balance out the look. So let's do this. I'm actually going to mix it on my clean mirror. I'm going to put a couple of drops of this on here, and then I'm going to take some of the eyeshadow from the pot on a little angled brush, mix it in, and then try to paint on these soft wings. So it's not really mixing very well. I think that it would probably have worked better if I had dropped the liquid straight onto the eyeshadow. It doesn't seem like a very destructive substance, so I feel like it would probably just mix with a tiny bit on the top and then immediately become something that you could use. You know what I mean? It wouldn't like mess up the surface of it. So I kind of wish I had done that, but I'm going to try to use the product that I have. Maybe, yeah, mixing it on the back of my hands, working a little bit better because my skin is gripping it and allowing it to mix instead of letting it slide around so much. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous. Wings, you guys. It might be awful. We might have to just scrap the entire look and the entire video. Okay, so that one kind of went fine, but we all know that that's not the problem. The problem isn't doing it once, the problem is doing it twice. It could be worse. I think I still need to like fill them both in a little bit and even them both out, but I think it's going to be okay. I hope I'm not speaking too soon. Okay, it totally worked, and I feel like I did get them even. You know what I mean? Like they're not exactly the same, but they're even enough so that I don't look like my makeup is intensely asymmetrical, and I feel like that has to be the only goal with wings. It's like the only way to proceed. And I like that it's like a wing with the same color as the eyeshadow. So it sort of blends in. It's not like this harsh painted on random like black stripe on top of colorful eyeshadow. It's kind of like all one. I feel like it's shaping up to be kind of a little bit like She-Ra Princess of Power-y. Like I just feel like it's a little bit, I don't know, like a little bit cartoon character, a little Rainbow Bright, but sort of like the evil character on Rainbow Bright, a little anime maybe. I didn't expect it to be that like smoky colorful thing, but the way that this blackish blue blended with Aster, the color from the Natasha Denona palette, it did end up with like real blue to pink feels. But I have to say, I feel like it needs something. I feel like it's just going to be too much like a monolithic dark look if I don't put something in the middle of the lid. And even though it's going to really kick it up quite a notch. I think I'm gonna go with another one of my Shop My Stash things, which is this Slayfire glitter. And this glitter, the Slayfire glitter gel, they're called glitter gels, but they are very dry gels. There's stuff in them. There's like an adhesive that's in them, but it's not like a wet, gooey thing. It's like kind of dry, and then when you press into it and you start sticking it, it'll stick. But I've had this for maybe a year and a half now, maybe even longer, and it has started to dry out like a little bit more even than I think it was originally. And so I'm actually going to put more of this droppy stuff onto my mirror and use it to stick down just a little bit of glitter, just like in the middle and maybe a little bit in the inner corner. I'm really going to try not to go overboard because I don't want to overwhelm this already kind of overwhelming look. Okay, totally failed not to overwhelm this already overwhelming look. It's definitely become very glittery and very green. So I'm going to go back in around the edges with that same initial little Rephr brush, although I'm taking another one from my dirty brushes. It's not dirty enough to cause a problem, but I don't want to use a clean one because I'm just mucking it about so much. I'm going to go back into the original gunmetal pot shadow and just kind of like blend and clean up the edges and maybe try to soften the look of the glitter a little bit. But I will say that the liquid stuff worked really well for turning this glitter basically into like a liquid glitter. Like I basically painted it on with my finger because I had mixed it with that mixing solution. Oh yeah, this is working great. It's like blending with the glitter and helping to tone down that part of the look. Okay, so now the glitter is basically just on my lids, which isn't something that I usually do because of my hooded eyes. If I put like a shadow that's like the star of the look just on my lids, then you can only really see it when I blink my eyes. So I usually bring it up higher. But because there's so much going on with this look and there's so much dimension, and that shadow, the glitter, isn't what I'm using to get dimension, I think it's okay to have it just be kind of like a little surprise. So I have got to stop, I feel, building stuff onto my actual eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and put on a whole bunch of mascara. I'll put on a little black liner on my waterline. I'll give you a close-up of the way that the look looks, and then I'm gonna zoom out and do the rest of my face. Okay, there we are. I must say, I got really carried away. I was not planning to do this or expecting to do this. I was kind of expecting to do like a sort of nude, smudgy, neutral look just with some of this black. And yeah, now it's got like 10 colors in it and glitter. It's just the products that I have that I shopped my stash for kind of like led me in this direction, and also wanting to do a wing to test out this stuff. I'm not mad at it, it's just not what I was expecting, and it definitely means that I'm going to lean into like toned down stuff for the rest of the look. So I'm gonna go ahead and do some base. I think I wanna put a little more green color corrector on because some of it got wiped off when I was doing the fallout. I did get quite a bit of fallout from all of the stuff, like everything from the glitter to the initial Natasha Denona eyeshadow. Like I had all of it all over, so I actually like wiped it off with some micellar water, so I'm gonna reapply. I'm really dependent on my green color corrector because I'm not just using it to put down a base, like to color correct underneath my makeup. I'm trying to get as much of my skin as possible to be like a shade, like a tone, that means that I don't have to put makeup on top of it. I'm trying to get it so that most of my skin can be bare, because my main problem is redness. Like my skin is red, and so it doesn't match my neck, it doesn't match the other parts of my face. So if I can get it to be less red, I don't care that it's like a little bit blemished or a little bit uneven, or like I don't care about that stuff. I just want it to kind of be like even in tone. So I feel like I've done a decent job of that, but I'm gonna go in with my other, like my main concealer, the Makeup Forever HD, and just hit these spots underneath my eyes that are still kind of stubbornly redder than the rest of my face. And then I'll do a little bit on my chin and forehead too. but I'm blending this out with a brush. I find that when I use a brush, I lose a little bit of product. When I use my fingers, I really push all of the product into my skin, and that's why I use the fingers mostly for the green color corrector. But going in with this, I kind of want to do it in layers, as sheer as possible, just a little bit at a time. So the brush is what I'm using. I always try to keep it kind of sheer and go in with thin layers, but I'm extra motivated to do that today because I feel like one of the ways that I balance out a really strong eye look is by keeping the skin as natural looking as possible. If I clearly have a lot of eye makeup on, like a lot of makeup on my eyes, I don't want it to be as clear that I have makeup on the rest of my skin. I don't want to look like I have a lot of makeup on my skin as well. I'm going in with my spot concealer, the NARS Soft Matte, just to hit these little spots that aren't really getting even out. That redness is pretty stubborn today. But I know that when I put some product on my cheeks, it'll help to make this part of my face look less red because that'll be like the reddest part or the most fleshed part. But before I do that, I'm going to put some soap in my brows. And this is the first time I've shown this on camera, although I might have already posted my video about how I spent my budget in September, in which case I will have shown it. But this is definitely the first time I'm using it on camera. It's just a little adorable bar of soap from this brand Ortigia Sicilia, and it's orange blossom scented, so it smells amazing. And I was about to say, sorry, I'm like so excited about the soap that I can't even handle myself. I was about to say that the thing that's the most exciting about it is the packaging, but I actually think, well, actually no, that is the case. The thing that's really exciting about it is that even though it's just regular glycerin soap, it works for me as well as the Patrick Ta brow wax. Like, it's just brilliant. And it was only $10, which is a lot for a bar of novelty soap, but not a lot for like a brow fixing product that's gonna last forever. But the fact that it works really well and then it has this absolutely stunning packaging is what makes it a real winner for me. So I have been continuing on the way I was doing with the Patrick Ta before I panned it, spraying the Glossier mist into here. I don't like this Glossier mist because it makes me cough. It's so fine and it's got a little bit of rose water in it. So when I spray it onto my face, it's always like, it makes me go, it always gets in there. So I've been using it up by using it to mix my brow soap. And I'm just gonna pop it in my brows and I'm going to sculpt them into a very groomed, very tidy shape. I feel like if I do that sort of spiked, blown out brow like I almost always do when I'm using soap, it will maybe push me a little bit more in the dramatic direction, and the eyes are already really taking it there. So I'm gonna go with something a little more groomed and polished. So first I put the soap goop in. I worked up some soap goop and I put it into my left brow, and I just like made sure every hair had some on it. Now I'm gonna let that set while I put the soap goop in the other brow. And now I'm gonna let that sit and kind of set while I go back and sculpt the first brow. So I feel like that's a good shape. I've been using this totally clean pencil brush to stick the soapy brows down and kind of organize them a little bit. It's the Rephr 03, another one of my favorite Rephr brushes. And this one, for some reason, there's like a little empty patch in the front. I don't know if like my eyebrow hairs are falling out or something, but it just, maybe the dye that was dyeing my skin has suddenly worn off. But I feel like I do need to fill that little spot in a little bit with a brow pencil. I just filled it in a tiny, tiny bit. I don't know what's going on there. I feel like I'm worried that maybe the stress of this year is causing my brows to fall out. But hopefully what happened was it's just that the hairs kind of got soaped down in like a funny direction, and then there was this like little bald looking patch. All right, the top half of my face is looking really intense. There's some sort of leaf blowing or lawn mowing or something going on outside. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what I'm gonna do with my cheeks so that I can then do it. And if the noise comes back, I'll at least be like filming myself do it while I'm doing it. So this to me is actually the most interesting, compelling thing that came from Skin Store, the little ILLAMASQUA bundle that they sent me. It's the ILLAMASQUA Cream Blusher. And I got it in two colors, Lies and Rude. And oh no, it's coming back. I'm not done talking. I'll quickly just say Lies is like a highlighting, like a sheery highlighting shade, and Rude is more of a bright coral shade. They're both pinker and brighter than I expected them to be based on the pictures on the website. But I am going to go ahead and apply both of them, and then I'll talk with you about the formula after I'm done and it's on and the leaf blowing, lawn mowing is over. I feel like what's going on is it's like me. This strong eye look calls for a toned down look on the rest of the face. Also me. This strong eye look calls for some blush draping. So I've kind of done the thing. But I think hopefully the noise is gone and I can speak with you now. Here's what's going on with this formula. It's very, very thin and lightweight, and so it blends like a dream. And that thin, lightweight quality means that it can become very watercolory. Like hopefully you saw when I first put the regular one, like just the blush, the non-shiny one on, it looked pretty opaque when I first put it on because the pigment's there. But then as I blended it out, it kind of became one with my skin and I got that beautiful watercolory look that we so love in a blush. But it also doesn't really dry down. It's kind of like a pot. You cannot accuse it of being like a pot of Vaseline because it's so much thinner, slippier, and more lightweight than that. It's really not greasy. It almost feels like a set mousse, like a set slippy mousse. And so it really doesn't feel greasy or oily at all, but it just retains its kind of like slippy wetness. And it doesn't even feel silicone-y. It's actually kind of unique. It's like a kind of very unique thing. It's almost like the cream blush version of when people say that a powder is like the most finely milled, lightest, smoothest powder that they've ever tried. So I really quite like it. And in spite of the fact that I usually protest when cheek products stay liquid at all on the cheeks, like when they don't actually set and go through sort of a chemical change. It doesn't do that, and it's also not a stiff formula, so it doesn't have that tenacity that the e.l.f. cream cheek palette has. In spite of the fact that it's like that, I haven't been able to keep my hands off of these since they arrived because it's such a delight to apply. It's so smooth and lovely. I especially love the highlighting one, the one called Lies. It's being marketed as a blush, but it's a very light color and it sheers out, and I consider it to be more of a highlighter. So even though I applied so much, I feel like I got, you know, a relatively flushed, sweet look rather than like a really intense blush look. And I think that that's the benefit of this formula. The one thing I'll say is that, I mean, that's not the one thing because I just said a bunch of things, but the last thing I'll say is that it has a weird, to me, a very weird smell. It smells kind of like candy. Like if you're like driving across the Midwest, you're in the middle of the state, like it's very rural, there's, you know, not much civilization, and then there's like a store, like a farm store, like a farm stop where there's some produce and a bunch of like old-fashioned candy and old-fashioned treats and popcorn and stuff like that, kettle corn. And you go in and you get like a bag of mints, like those pillow mints, you know what I mean? The mints that kind of dissolve in your mouth, like a wintergreen. And not wintergreen, but like that really soft candy mint flavor. You know what I'm talking about? Those pillow mints, but they're really stale. And you start eating one and you're like, I think that this might have been manufactured in 1983. That's what these smell like. I'm gonna leave it at that for the cheeks. I'm tempted to keep applying more cream blush like I almost always do, but I really don't want to overwhelm myself, and you know, it's a lot. I'm gonna put my mole back on. So I'm going to have to tone it down on the lips a little bit as well, because my plan was to put on one of these. I mean, I'm still going to put it on, but I'm just going to do it in a little bit more of a sheer way. So this is the other ILLAMASQUA product that I'm testing out right now, the Sheer Veil Lipstick. And they sent it to me in two colors, and both of them are like right up my alley. So this one is called Obsess, and it's the one that I love, love, love. It's very much like Maybelline Gone Greige, but it's more of a sheer formula. And that's actually something that I've been like craving for a while. So I've been wearing this one a lot. The other one is called Souffle, and it's a brown and it's dark, but I thought that because it was a sheer formula, it would be more wearable, but it's actually not very wearable for me. It's really dark and it's hard to get it to look even on my skin because it's so dark and because it's sheer. So with this dark color, I feel like the color and the sheerness of the formula are kind of like working against each other for me, but I'm sure it will be beautiful on somebody with a deeper skin tone. So I'm going to give this away as a gift. But this one, it's maybe, I don't know. I really like the cream blushes, but I feel like this is maybe my favorite thing that was in the entire group of products that they sent me. Rather than applying it full on and getting like a grungy lip on top of all of this, like a strong grungy lip, I'm gonna apply this lip liner, which is LA Girl Sugar and Spice, all over, which it's like a more nude color for me, like more natural. And then I'm just going to put a touch of this on top, so I'll get a little bit lighter of a grungy lip look. I like the color of Obsess as a sheer, and I also really like the hydrated look and the hydrated feel that it gives to the lips. I actually think this is a really, really nice formula. Okay, that's the look, you guys. That is the look. I'm ready. You got ready with me. Final thoughts? The first final thought that springs to mind is just that shopping one's stash really does work to like encourage one to move out of one's comfort zone. Like I think almost everything about this look, even without the, I mean, obviously this like black pot shadow is for me trying something that had been sent to me in PR, but I feel like just it alone is not what has caused this to be so intense. It's like the fact that I had the Natasha Denona palette out here and it's got all of those reds in it and it doesn't really have any browns or other nudes. And this glitter was out here, the Slayfire glitter. And so when I was looking for like just a little something to put on my lids, I reached for like this intense scarab green glitter instead of, you know, a random just sparkly eyeshadow, which is probably what I would have done if I'd had my whole collection at my disposal. So I feel like the Shop My Stash project really guided this look and turned it into something much more special than I would otherwise have done. And then final thoughts on these products that I'm testing. This does work really well, this liquid. It's kind of interesting. I just saw that Makeup by Mario and his release of his new collection of his new brand released something like this, like a mix-in product. So, you know, the ILLAMASQUA one works perfectly well as far as I can tell, and it definitely did allow me to like use this eyeshadow as a wing. The eyeshadow, which is the Iconic Chrome Pigment Paint in the color Empowering, that's what this color is called. It's gray, it's more gray and more blue than the dream of my life. Like what I dream about is like a jet black version of this, and this is definitely a charcoal. So I do really like the formula. I think that it's very beautiful. It's like a tarte chrome paint kind of thing. But because it isn't that jet black, I don't know if it'll make it through the reckoning because I don't know how much I will actually ever use it. I am impressed by it though, and it's nice to have gotten the chance to try it. I do like those kind of like sticky eyeshadow formulas, like slick, shiny, sticky eyeshadow formulas. The one thing that let me down about this is that it buffs out to kind of like a charcoal blue. The ILLAMASQUA Cream Cheeks, I feel like I was pretty explicit about them when I was putting them on and telling you about them. They're just like this whipped, very, very light, slick formula. The application is absolutely beautiful. I do think they're kind of unique to the market. And the only thing for me that I would change is that I would love it if they would dry down completely, but I have a feeling that you wouldn't be able to get the formula to feel and apply this way if it had something in it that caused it to set completely. And then the lip sheers, absolutely beautiful formula, but you know, having one of them be too dark, like because it's sheer, I feel like I can wear a really, really dark vampy lip if I can get full coverage on it, but because it's sheer, the really dark vampy color kind of patched up on me, but this sort of like mid grungy gray was perfect. And I love the way that it looks mixed with LA Girl Sugar and Spice. Okay, we're done. The video is over. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Like I don't know wings. I don't need to winging my eyeshadow out. Like who am I? What even is a wing? If you're a wingy type of person, if you're a wingy bee over there, did I do it right? Did I do it wrong? I shy away from it because of my hooded eyes. It never quite looks right on me, but I feel like this could be worse. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself right now so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.